Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Water and Power Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. This proceeding is being broadcasted on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. Board of Water and Power Commissioners, please say present for roll call. President Marks.
Present.
Vice President KATZ.
Present.
Commissioner Ortega.
Present.
Commissioner PINDER.
Present.
Commissioner TRAN.
Present.
5 board members, a quorum is present. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. We have a fairly long meeting today, so I'm going to dispense with my welcoming remarks other than to say welcome and thank you all for coming out today. Do any commissioners have any other remarks before we get to it?
We'll try to be as judicious as you intend to be.
Okay, thank you very much. In that case, let's go on to look at the minutes for the last meeting that we had. Do any commissioners have any comments or corrections to the minutes? None? Okay. In that case, if there's no corrections, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of February 24.
President Marks.
Aye.
Vice President KATZ.
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega.
Aye.
Commissioner PINDER.
Aye.
Commissioner TRAN.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion adopted.
Okay. Thanks very much. And let's move then on to public comment. Madam Secretary.
There are no public commenters to my knowledge present here today, but we did receive 1 e-comment. Would you like me to read the e-comment into the record?
Yes, please do.
This comment comes from Caritas Reeves. The e-comment states, LADWP engineers are advising of wait times up to 8 months for solar interconnection applications to be reviewed. Other California utilities commonly approve applications in 6 weeks or less. What is being done to reduce this application processing time for homeowners going solar?
Good question. And so having heard that, since it's e-comment, I had the benefit of seeing it right before the meeting started. CEO Quinones, with your permission, can I ask COO of the Power System, David Hansen, to address that question?
Yes, good morning, commissioners. Yes, we do have Mr. Emil Abdel Shahid. He's our Director of New Business. We discussed this e-comment that came in about the solar connection. So, Emil, maybe you can walk the board a little bit through the process. We're confident that our New Business Concierge program and our overhaul of the whole customer relation aspect of our new business process is being it's going to put us down the road much further than we are now with our large projects and with solar and anybody looking to connect and do business with us. So we're confident we've made the right changes, and we'll be watching over time.
We just need to keep the discussion brief because this particular item wasn't agendized because it came in through an e-comment. You can have a broader discussion at a next or future meeting if you agendize it. So today, let's just try to keep the discussion brief.
Yeah, and could I actually request, I would love a presentation on this topic. I think it's important enough that if we could have a management report at a future meeting, that would be really helpful.
Sounds
so
good.
maybe just a 1 sentence for now.
So
Thanks.
super short and general.
Sure. We'll prepare a presentation. Ultimately, the complexity of the project will determine how long that interconnection takes. Right now, we're seeing our cycle times for most of our interconnections around 3 to 4 months, and that includes customer portions of it. And so as applications come in, we're going to process them, and we'll see if there's any unusual cases that are reflecting those 8 months.
Okay, good. And so we'll have a future agenda item or report back with respect to maybe solar interconnections generally for our customers, and see how that concierge program is working out and how the new things that are being implemented, are improving the situation.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Attorney Flores, for focusing us on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll turn to a report from the CEO of the Department of Water and Power, Janice Quinones. The floor is yours.
Thank you, President Marks. I guess the first thing is addressing the elephant in the room and the announcement that I will be stepping down from being the CEO and Chief Engineer of LADWP as of March 27. It was a very, very hard decision for me to make because I love the people that work at DWP and I love the mission that we have as a public power and public water system and how much we are doing for the communities, and we're doing a lot of good work, and the organization has trusted in me and a lot of the transition and transformation that we've been working on the last 21 months. So I want to say thank you to our coworkers, our stakeholders, our commissioners, past and present, to the mayor for giving me this opportunity. I am heading back home to Puerto Rico, and I leave here March 27 and I start there March 30th. So I tried to give DWP as much time as I could and get there as fast as I could. So I have 1 day to travel and 1 day to rest before I start my new job. And as many of you know, Puerto Rico has been going through a lot since the Hurricane Maria hit us, and our power system has been struggling ever since, and that was 2017. So it's been long way coming for us. And there's just not that many people with my background that are Puerto Rican and speak the language, and I think that is really important for the communities that will be serving. And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure and honor, and I'll be watching and I'm a phone call away if you need me.
I want to before you go on with your report, just for a moment, I wanted to thank you publicly. I know we've talked a lot privately in the last few weeks, but the legacy that you're leaving and the way that you've managed to balance the continuity of our operations with the needed improvements in the quality of our service has really engendered you. I have seen our employees, our management team, and I can't speak for all the commissioners, so I'll just speak for myself, but the commissioners can join in. The way you have balanced both looking at the past and looking at the future and making this the best utility it can be, both for water and power, is huge. And I very much look forward to hearing about all the successes you're having, because I know in Puerto Rico that's a very big challenge after the hurricane to get that grid back up and running. And I can't think of anybody better to do it than you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And at our next meeting, which will be your final one as CEO, we look forward to a little more of a formal thank you.
Yeah. I forgot to mention my whole family's there, so it brings me back closer to family and to my community. And life is about balance, and it's important that you balance your personal with your professional, and I think this is a perfect time to do full circle and close my career with a bow on the top. So I'm very excited for that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so next, back to business. First, I want to acknowledge Women's History Month. It's a really important month to celebrate, especially for me, being a woman in this industry, and a lot of our females and women that operate in the WP do an amazing job, and it's not always easy to be the only one in the room. So it's important that we recognize the contributions of women in the past, present, and the future, and that we invest on the future of our coworkers, especially those in the women trades. And so DWP has done a great job, especially on the trade side. We have the Women Fair, and we keep working on bringing more women representation into the department. So acknowledge that this is Women's History Month, and to my ladies, keep at it. We can get this done. I also want to talk about the Reservoir Walk we had this Saturday, and I was joined by President Marks and Vice President KATZ. It was a beautiful day, kind of windy, and also Anselmo and many of the LADWP coworkers, and it was a great day to commemorate the 101 anniversary of Mulholland Dam, and also a recognition to Women's History Month. So, Anselmo, do you want to add anything else about?
Yeah, just to say that it was a great event. We probably had around over 100 people there. It was a 3.5 mile walk. That is probably one of the more popular locations for people to go and walk. The reservoir, as you know, is no longer being used to serve drinking water, but we keep the water there for fire protection. But at the same time, we're able to provide recreational opportunities, passive recreation, by folks walking around. So it was a great day to celebrate. It was nice to have William Mulholland's great-granddaughter there to provide a lot of context, and I thought it was a great event, so thank you for being there.
No, thank you. I would say it was a wonderful event, and having the community there, having all of the different employee groups that were there, having people, with water valves that were opened up so we could see how they worked. It was a special day, and the fact that women had played such an important part in the history of the department was also nice to see highlighted. And I also want to thank Vice President Katz in particular for guiding me through our biodiversity garden that's there, Cindy's garden, and that was it's a special place. So if you haven't yet checked it out, it's open to the public, and do. It's just up the road.
Thank you. And then March 14 is Utility Worker Appreciation Day, and I always say that our customers and the public at large don't understand sometimes how hard it is to actually deliver reliable power and water, and we have done a good job at the expectation is always being available, but it's the men and women of the department that makes that happen. And so it's a good day to celebrate and recognize that they show up when it's bad weather, when it's heat events, when there's emergency, when there's long capital projects and delivery projects. So I just want to thank the workforce for all they do and highlight the importance of being a utility worker in this industry. We also had a Science Bowl, the 34th annual LADWP Regional Science Bowl academic competition on Saturday, February 21st. I was there last year, not this year. And I'll tell you, every time that I saw them answer a question that I've never heard in my life as an engineer, and they answered in like 2.3 seconds, I felt so little. But it was the same school, which you're an alumni of. They went first and second place, and so they're moving up to the regionals. And you want to say something about the Science Bowl?
Sure. I'll just say congratulations. I was unfortunately sick and unable to attend in person this year, but definitely very proud as a North Hollywood High School alum. And so congratulations to the Huskies, but really to all teams who participated, because making it to that competition is really incredible. As CEO Quinones was saying, I've been there, I've seen the questions they ask, and it is humbling, but it also is hopeful. It gives me a lot of hope for the future, for our workforce and all of the, important engineering and utility roles around the nation that we need to know that there are students who are learning so much about science and engineering and STEM. Really gives me hope for the future. So thank you.
And we, on February 26th, Water Distribution hosted the 14th annual Tap-Off Safety and Emergency Preparedness Fair. I was able to attend again this year. I think it's one of the, kind of like the Lyman Rodeo, it's our water rodeo, and it's a fun event. We have a lot of safety incorporated into that. We had more competitors than ever before, with 8 tapping teams, 8 hydrant teams, 3 top-outs teams, and 10-meter competitors. But we were also joined by Long Beach Water, Huntington Beach Water, Ontario Municipal Utilities Company, Jurupa Community Service District, and Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District, which brings all of the regional water agencies together in this event. There was also 3 female hydrant teams, and they were placing very well in the competition. And then some of you might have the details on where the female tap, but they were working. I was watching them work. Such a good teamwork and so much collaboration. And then I just want to congratulate the LADW teams that placed in the competition. In pipe tapping, first place, the Tap Kings in the Western District. Hydrant Hysteria Men, first place, Hydrant Kings. And Meter Challenge, first place, Scott Wall, East Valley. And second place, Andre Cordova from Central. And lastly, I'm going to pass it to Dave. And someone, do you want to say anything about tap-off before I pass it to Dave?
Sure, just one thing. So the folks that placed high on this event are actually moving on to the regional, which is the Cal Nevada American Waterworks Association conference. It's going to take place in April down in San Diego. So the folks that Janice mentioned are going to be moving on to that competition. And then the folks that place in the top then go to nationals. Nationals this year is going to be in June in Washington, D.C., and we've actually had folks in the past from LADWP win the national contest. So our staff do a great job, and most of the training they do is off hours on their own time. And if you have a chance to ever see them work, you can see how fast they are able to tap the mains, that be able to break down hydrants and break down meters. So it's a great opportunity to see the men and women in the department doing what they do in a competitive arena and do really well representing the city.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Can I comment on that? I'm trying to keep my comments to a minimum given the long meeting, so I'll save my goodbye remarks for Janice. I, again, was sick and unable to attend the tap-off, but I did go last year, and it just, I really want to emphasize what you're saying, that it's truly astonishing, the level of skill and the speed. I also had an opportunity to witness it in person in the field, though recently there was a small water main break in my neighborhood in Encino, and just seeing the team in action, how quickly everyone was on site and how quickly that repair got done. It really is always astonishing, and so how perfect with Utility Worker Day coming up that we can celebrate these achievements of the teams. It's honestly really amazing, and so proud of everyone in water for the tap-off, and congratulations to the winning teams, and good luck in San Diego.
Thank you. I would just give kudos to the Water Distribution Division. They put the event together, do all the coordination, and they do an excellent job in hosting all the utilities and all the vendors and all the tables that are out there. And the nice thing is that we have not just the vendors, but also we have the safety component. We have locally team there. We have a variety of groups, the credit union. So every year grows a little more. Pretty soon I'm going to run out of space and have to find a different location because it's so popular. So thank you.
True. Well, I'll pass it over to you, Dave. Updates on Scattergood and power reorg.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you. Good morning. First off, we wanted to talk a little bit about the windstorm that hit us this weekend. We did have a series of high winds hit the region that started last Thursday and kept going through Sunday. Our impact for customer outages, our peak customer outage at any given time was 4,000. We're really proud of how the crews showed up. We're seeing a lot of fruits of our efforts for preparedness, as well as the standby crews out there getting power back as quickly as they can. We are in the middle of a power system reorganization where we're adding some additional functionalities to our electric trouble team. So we'll also be adding substations operations and relay. And so we're really excited about that change to the power system. But the crews did an amazing job this weekend. We did have crews on standby for those that aren't 24/7. We do bring in additional crews from our substation maintenance operations and the test groups where we have those folks come in and patrol around and address issues as they come up. For the reorganization for the power system in general, we did roll that out on February 2nd. We do have an activation team that we've put full-time in charge of this, Mr. Brian Williams and Greg Wynn. I think they're both here in the audience. Wave. I see Brian. They are charged with the change management aspect of this as a major initiative for power, so they're meeting with all the individual directors and they're drafting schedules, milestones, addressing practices, and most importantly, documenting policy. I think this is something that's very difficult to tear down if there's a change in leadership in the next few years, if we've taken the time to document and have policy in place. So we'll be sharing that with the board as we go through this process so that everybody understands milestones and where we're at. And like Janice mentioned, a major issue for us, our Scattergood appeal. The appeal was denied by the E&E Council. We're very excited to see this project moving forward as it should have been for a while now. Also a major milestone for us is our reserving that equipment. So thank you to the board for approving that equipment reservation. We've actually made that payment, and we will be framing that receipt in the office so that nobody forgets that we have a turbine on its way and it will be here in time for the project. Overall, for the power system, as part of our reorg, we're trying to focus on our roots as a public power agency. There's a historian that lives in Liga under Paul Habib, Mr. John Gregory, and he's done an amazing job putting a power system tour together that we just did a dry run for last week. We're very excited to see some electeds from Sacramento, D.C., as well as our own council to go and tour the history of the power system. Without our history, we're doomed to repeat it, so we're focusing on our public public power identity. And through this process, we found a pretty good quote from Ezra Scattergood, the father of public power. Nothing shall be constructed that is not far in advance of the standards of the moment. And that was his mindset from the 30s and the 40s, and we want to get back to that. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think there was a video about the reservoir walk. I'm not sure if they want to show it. Do you know, Joe?
They had some photos they wanted to scroll through that they might be able to pull up here.
It'll prove it was windy, not just because of the speeches.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Wonderful. Let's move on then to Tim O'Connor from the Office of Public Accountability.
Great, thank you, President Marks. Good morning. And the Office of Public Accountability submitted comments on several items before the board today. One of those items will be the presentation of the preliminary budget. We'd like to be able to offer some comments in response to that, and so you'll be hearing on that a little bit later with your indulgence. Some of the items we spoke to, we've been working with several of the teams here at the department and really appreciate the opportunity for the back and forth and the ability to dig deeper on some of these investments that the department's making. In particular, item number one, which we provided comments on, a purchase regarding forklifts. We provided some recommendations to the board about that and have been meeting with staff. We understand some of those recommendations are associated with maybe some common practice that the department uses but have not been necessarily ingrained in standards or expectations. And so we would just ask the board for its consideration of those. And then also on item number 12, we provided some recommendations based in principles that are associated with this very important item regarding the Power Safety and Reliability Program. I understand that there may be a discussion on that happening a little bit later, and so we'll certainly provide some opportunities for comment then. One item I do want to make sure that we elevate is when we think about the budget overall, the Office of Public Accountability provided, alongside our comments, a copy of a recent analysis that our department engaged in. We released in February of this year, benchmarking the department's rates and bills against other utilities in California. And I just want to run through some of those observations. This isn't necessarily about the preliminary budget, but the total context within which LADWP sits. And I think it's important as we think about how all of these investments come together and the kind of customer programs and customer support that the department offers, we both look retrospectively to see where we are, but prospectively about where we're going and what the department really needs to keep in its mind's eye as it moves forward. In our analysis, and I'll just talk through a couple different points about what that analysis shows. We provided a fact sheet in the written comments, and it will be available, I understand, on the Commission's website here. It's currently and presently available on our website, on the Office of Public Accountability's website. And when we looked back at where the department has been, we can see that that LADWP has managed to keep its rates generally below the other California investor-owned utilities like SDG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, and Edison over the last 10 years. And during that period of time, although DWP rates did grow faster than some of the municipal peers, they did remain competitive within the municipal peers themselves as well, in particular those here in Southern California. And when you look at this 10-year period, we see that rates were growing, but generally only slightly more than inflation. and generally slower than wages and other core household expenses. Over the last 10 years, the department's average retail rates increased about 1.9% for residential and 1.2% for business rates per year. And in particular, when you look at the last 5 years, that period, post-COVID, the department was very successful in maintaining relative stability of those average retail electric rates compared to other broader cost trends. And, it is important to say, the individual experiences would vary. People's lived experiences with rates are not what the average retail rate is, but this analysis would show that the department did remain with a strong focus during that period of time, and that should be acknowledged. When you look at what that means today, our analysis looking at the 2026 average monthly residential electric bill, you can see that DWP is on average about 42% less expensive than its closest neighbor, Southern California Edison, for the ratepayers that we modeled. And when you compare it to other municipal utilities, it is both higher than some and lower than some. And our analysis provides some modeling associated with that. However, when you look at the broader context associated with affordability and the lived experiences of ratepayers, we can see that we need to remain focused on providing opportunities for people to be able to control their bills and to be able to control their usage, which directly translates into those bills. We find that the average in 2024 ratepayer for LEDWP, when you're looking at electricity, that here in the region, households spend on electricity was slightly higher than when you compare it with municipal peers. It's sort of like the relative expenditures associated with income. However, this is in alignment with state averages and generally lower than the investor-owned utilities, kind of in alignment with those past observations. However, in those last 2 years, we started to see, like most other utilities in the nation, costs that have been rising with transmission, distribution, and power purchase investments leading the way. And other utilities have experienced similar cost increases, and so this is not unique to DWP, but something that we need to, of course, observe and to help individuals control for when they're managing their expenses. We've been hosting workshops in the community. We're hearing from folks in the community that today's bills are hard to manage for many people, cutting back on other expenses, and we need to be providing people on the ground those opportunities. And with the investments that the department is planning, as well as what's happening today, we know that there is a focus on that, but it needs to maintain that focus. When you also look at these cost-burdened households, we know that in Los Angeles, roughly 2/3 of LA's housing is renter occupied, and about 3 out of 5 renters can be called severely cost burdened, which means that they're spending greater than 50% of their monthly income on their rent and their utilities. This is a challenge for many on the ground here, and something that as we think about the presentation we're going to be hearing a little bit later today, and the kind of programs that the department is developing, and the general context about what we can do about it, whether it's working towards structural rate reform to provide opportunities for more affordability programs, for better ways to give people the signals. These are all things that we should be thinking about. And with that, I'll close and just say a note of thanks for the continued focus of the department on these items, and we look forward to continuing the dialogue going forward.
I'd say, Mr. O'Connor, thank you very much. I also read what you posted and what you sent to us, and I found it very, very helpful. I think especially benchmarking and comparing us to other utilities and seeing, mindful of your point that obviously everybody's experiences, individuals or as households or families or businesses are different, and affordability for everything, housing in particular, but also food and utilities on top of that, are a big issue for lots of people. But it's nice to see that the DWP at least is doing a job which makes us more affordable, relatively speaking, compared to certainly the investor-owned utilities and also many of the munis. One thing that's always struck me on rates, it's when you look back over the last century, and the Ezra Scattergood quote, Dave, that you made kind of came to mind, building systems that are big enough to allow for future growth was the norm many years ago. It is not today. I see our historian nodding. Nationally, it is not really the case. And now nationally, we're seeing this rise in demand for power at rates that we have not seen for the last 4 or 5 decades, which makes everything cost more. It makes the equipment cost more, the transformers and so forth. This is a bigger issue, I think, on the power side than on the water side. We also are seeing efficiency gains. We're seeing demand-side management and power. We're seeing a situation where the amount of water that we're using as a city is roughly the same as it was when we had 1 million fewer people not too long ago. So the efficient use of power and the efficient use of water, I think, become very important. As we get more efficient, of course, that means that the system costs, those fixed costs of maintaining all those systems, have to be spread over everybody, and there are some real issues with that in rate design, not just for us, but for any utility and for any regulator of a regulated utility. So, these are complicated issues, and the question then becomes how much is paid by current ratepayers and how much is paid, through financing by future ratepayers, and that's a very complicated trade-off. And I'm thankful for your additional advice that you're supplying in this area.
Thank you. I'll suggest that in the presentation you're going to hear a little bit later today, the department's going to present a preliminary budget that would have the effect of raising the average residential retail rate by roughly 6.7% over the period that we studied because of the inability to increase the affordability program amounts. We've seen a reduction of nearly 10% in the inflation-adjusted available funds for being able to support customers for this, and this is something that, as we move forward, that the department's focus on, and indeed policymakers in the city here and community leaders should be coming together to try to work together on solutions to try to find opportunities to change this direction travel.
Sure, and we'll take more comments about the budget when we get to that item. I think
yes, of course.
That would be useful to do. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments for ratepayer advocate?
Just thank you for this very thorough report, and to the public who's listening, there is a helpful blog to walk you through it on the OPA website and a link to the fact sheet and the report, and I highly encourage folks to check it out, and we'll continue the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. I'd like to move on next to item H, which are the consideration of items recommended for approval. We do have 2 items that have been called special. They're item N5 and N12. Is that correct, Madam Secretary? Yes, good. So N5 and N12. Do any commissioners have any other items that you'd like to call out for special discussion?
None here.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. In that case, let's approve the ones that we can without that further discussion through a consent vote. Madam Secretary, can you please list the remaining items for approval and consideration?
Agenda item N1, N2, N3, N4, N6, N7, N8, N9, N10, and N11.
Good. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve those items as listed?
Motion to approve the items as listed by the board secretary.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
President Marks?
Aye.
Vice President KATZ?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega?
Aye.
Commissioner Pinder?
Aye.
Commissioner Tran?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion adopted.
Thank you very much. So we'll come back to those in a moment. Let's now turn to the management reports. There are 2. The first one, and I invite the presenters to take the floor, is the management report for the presentation from the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. Welcome. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Buenos días a todos. Good morning, everyone. First of all, happy Women's History Month. My name is Lluvia Lopez Garces, a civil engineering associate with the water system and president of the LEDWP chapter of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, also known as SHIP, and also a proud daughter of Mexican immigrants. Presenting with me today are Leonora Meredith, our vice president of chapter development, and Brian Orozco, our Vice President of Operations. I want to start off by saying welcome to our new commissioners. We look forward to having you join our ship familia and hopefully join our upcoming events. We are one of 3 professional resource groups at LADWP, and our chapter's mission is to empower and support Latino and Hispanic engineers and professionals within LADWP and the broader community. Today, we'll share highlights of this year's activities, showcasing how we've aligned with SHIP's mission and made a meaningful impact.
Even before you go on, I have to comment on your beautiful attire. I know. Just wonderful. I hope everyone gets to see the beautiful top that she has on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Con las mariposas.
Yes, the monarch butterflies are very significant to us.
Very much so. Thank you.
Thank you. So on our agenda today, we'll introduce our current board, recap this past year's events and milestones, including the SHIP National Conference, and how we plan to move forward. I'm very excited today to be sharing a few of our several milestones that we've accomplished this year, and the first one being 5 years as an established chapter at LADWP. Not only have we grown over the past few years, but we've gone from a 9-person board to now 20 people on our board that you see here on the slide. So today, I'm proud to introduce this year's LADWP SHIP board, and I want to start off with Sabi Valdez, who is our executive sponsor, Brianna Plancarte as past president, myself as president, Brian Orozco as vice president of operations, Leonora Merith as vice president of chapter development, Vanessa Antonius Benitez as secretary, Jahaira Gastelum as treasurer, Jacqueline Inturias and Edward Vergara as outreach chairs, David Pardo and Brandon Torres as membership chairs, Perla Pineda Leon and Ethan Percy as communications chairs, Sofia Olmeda and Flor Hernandez as SHIPTINA chairs, Sierra Nudek and Mauricio Castellanos Mendoza as social chairs, Wendy Ruiz as cultural development chair, Michael Bustillo Sakai as elections chair, and Marco Barajas and Jorge Ibarra as professional development chairs.
I know one person stood, or any others in the audience?
Yes, I believe we have one other one. A few others? Yes, there you go. All our work wouldn't be possible without the contributions of every single one of our board members, and to that, we thank them from the bottom of our heart. Now, I'm happy to also announce that we've grown from 186 members last year to now over 200 members this year, and we continue to grow. Our goal is to reach 225 members by next year. And DWP SHIP strives to unite members from all DWP systems and job classifications, with over a quarter from non-engineering roles, showcasing our broad impact across the department. And on this slide, you can see a glimpse of some of our members. With that, I'll now transition to Leonora, our VP of Chapter Development.
Thank you, Yuvia. So my name is Leonora Merith. I'm a civil engineering associate in the water system, as well as the LADWP SHIP Vice President of Chapter Development. So throughout the year, we have delivered impactful programming and events that are rooted in the SHIP's 4 pillars of familia, service, education, and resilience. So as the leaders of our SHIP familia, we host a variety of events designed to build relationships and engagement across LADWP. In addition to our 4 general body meetings, we held our first Membership Appreciation Fiesta, which will become an annual tradition. We also held our Meet the Board Cafecito, where our newly elected board members got to mingle with membership, and our annual joint holiday luncheon with our fellow PRGs and ERGs, LADWP SWE, NSBE, and Valor. We also partnered with the Water Employees Club and LADWP SWE for 2 joint community events, such as our WEC and SHIP Beach Day, and our LADWP SWE and SHIPTINA's Hollywood Reservoir Hike. During Hispanic Heritage Month, we also hosted multiple events, including our SHIPTINA's Agua Frescas Break and our Hispanic Heritage Month networking mixer with the SHIP LA chapter. We also proudly participated for the 4th consecutive year in the Gloria Molina Grand Park Downtown Dia de los Muertos celebration. We would like to thank all the LADWP personnel who participated and volunteered for this event, as well as our sponsors, the Water and Power Community Credit Union, Gloria Molina Grand Park, and the ASCE LA Younger Members Forum. Service is the second pillar of SHIP, and it's one of the ways we make a big impact here. This year, we focused on encouraging interest in STEM and introducing students to possible career paths here at LADWP. At the K through 12 level, we partnered with schools like Huntington Drive Elementary, Manzanita Elementary, and Woodrow Wilson High School. Basically, we did classroom visits and facility tours to show how what students learn in the classroom connects to real work here at LADWP. At the college level, we partnered with collegiate CHIP chapters from Cal State University Los Angeles, CSUN, Cal Poly Pomona, and UCI, just to name a few. We supported students through resume workshops, networking events, and panel discussions focused on career readiness and professional growth. And within the department, our members also gave back by assisting at events such as the Women's Career and Wellness Expo, the Hollywood Reservoir Walk, which happened this past weekend, Bring Your Child to Work Day, the JFB Holiday Fest, and more. And alongside serving our community, the third pillar is education, and this is how we invest in our members' growth. We focus on professional development beyond technical skills by coordinating training on emotional intelligence and the fundamentals of leadership. We also partnered with LADWP SWE for a boat tour of the Port of LA. This gave our members a chance to learn more about the city and build connections with other city agencies. Together, these efforts support our members' long-term career growth and leadership development. Resilience is the fourth pillar of SHIP, and it reflects the strength that comes from embracing our diverse cultures and communities. This past year has been challenging for many of us. Our families, friends, and colleagues have all been deeply impacted. LADWP SHIP remains committed to creating an inclusive and supportive space where everyone feels seen, valued, and heard. We partnered with the LADWP Employee Assistance Program to host a community space focused on listening, reflection, and mutual support. We also hosted a Hispanic Power and Leadership panel during Hispanic Heritage Month. There, panelists shared personal stories and career journeys, reminding us that there is no single path to success, only opportunities to learn, grow, and move forward together. And with that, we continue to move forward, and I'll hand it off to Brian to talk about our efforts at this year's past SHIP National Convention.
Thank you, Lenora. Good morning, everyone. As mentioned earlier, my name is Brian Orozco. I'm a civil engineering associate in the Water System Project Management Office, and I currently serve as SHIP's Vice President of Operations. I'm also a proud first-generation Guatemalan American, and this past year, the 2025 SHIP National Convention took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania from October 29th through November 1st. We had 34 SHIP members and LADWP employees attend, participating in workshops focused on professional growth with topics like career navigation, graduate school, financial literacy, SHIPTINA's programming, and more. Overall, the convention gave our members meaningful tools and connections that they can bring back to LADWP and their day-to-day work. With that context, I'll share a quick breakdown of what our team accomplished at the National Convention. Throughout the convention, networking opportunities were always present and built into nearly every part of the experience, through workshops, scheduled events, and networking sessions with students, young professionals, and industry leaders. LADWP SHIP hosted a company spotlight luncheon where over 200 students and attendees joined us to hear from a 3-engineer panel. The panel shared their career paths and what it's like working at LADWP, one of the largest municipal water and power utilities in the country. At our booth, over 400 attendees stopped by to learn about LADWP engineering efforts and opportunities, our clean energy initiatives, and the water infrastructure work that goes into providing clean, reliable water service to over 4 million Los Angeles residents and businesses. From a recruitment standpoint, LADWP conducted 36 on-site interviews and issued 4 conditional job offers for engineering roles.
That's great.
To keep that momentum going year-round, we also stay connected with members through our chapter communication newsletter, Nexo. Nexo is our quarterly newsletter, and it's one of the main ways we keep our ship familia informed and engaged throughout the year. In each issue, we share updates on recent events we've hosted, highlight what's coming next, and give our members a clearer picture of the work that SHIP is doing here at LADWP. We also feature a member spotlight each Nexo volume where we share a short bio that includes staff members' background, education, culture, accomplishments, and personal interests. And we celebrate our members' accomplishments such as passing exams, promotions, transfers, and other milestones in their career. We're currently on volume 11, which is on your desk today. And finally, I want to close my section by recognizing the people and groups who help make all of this possible. So first, we would like to thank our LADWP familia and friends for your continuous support and collaboration, including our fellow professional and employee resource groups, such as the LADWP's National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE, the Society of Women Engineers, SWE, the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Supporting Progress, Inclusion, Respect, and Empowerment, ASPIRE, the Veterans Alliance for Leadership, Outreach, and Recognition, VALOR, PRIDE, and the Water Employees Club, WEC. We also want to recognize and thank our sponsors and partners, such as the Outreach and Recruitment Services Group, the Communications and Community Affairs Team, Employee Development, the Employee Assistance Program, and the Water and Power Community Credit Union. And again, thank you all for your time today and for your continued support. And with that, I'll hand it over to our SHIP chapter presidenta to continue.
Thanks, Brian. As we look ahead, we aim towards strengthening our 4 pillars of familia, service, education, and resilience to continue to build an inclusive community at LADWP while uplifting each other. Our initiatives this year include launching a mentorship program to connect members with department leaders, enhancing partnerships with local university chapters, continuing recruitment with outreach and recruitment services, offering leadership training for professional development, expanding collaboration with internal employee resource groups and external partners, and continue to foster a welcoming community while raising awareness of the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We kindly request your ongoing support across the department systems and divisions in further developing our professional resource group with adequate funding, our members' participation on the LADWP SHIP board and committees, and involvement in both internal and external events. We are excited for what we can continue to accomplish together, and we want to thank executive management, the Board of Commissioners, our LADWP SHIP board, our members, and our LADWP familia for your continued support. We invite all LADWP employees to join our chapter by reaching out to us at ship@ladwp.com and stay up to date on SHIP's activities by following our LinkedIn and Instagram pages. With that, thank you for your time, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias y buen hecho.
Gracias.
No, seriously, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say this in Spanish because I feel like it.
Show off.
Somos juntos una familia de DWP, so thank you. We are together, all one family here, and the way you've outlined what you've been doing, and the outreach too on college campuses, and the outreach in schools, and to kind of look at how we can bring more people in to the community is really very much appreciated and very well presented too, so thank you very much.
Sí, es verdad. Es muy bien. Y ustedes es muy bien. Y les gusta a ustedes mucho.
Gracias, gracias.
Want to go again?
You want me to do it?
Oh, it's so nice to laugh and be silly a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, but seriously, thank you very, very much. It's important work that you're doing, and the fact that you've grown so much and brought so many people in is a testament to how well you're doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this community building is important all the time, but especially important in these challenging times that we've had. And I'm so grateful for everything you've done to support our employees and build community, especially given everything. So thank you.
Yeah. Janice?
Yeah, you guys were the first ones to welcome me into this familia, and I'm going to miss you guys. Keep doing the good work you're doing. Like Commissioner KATZ said, it's tough times, especially for our people. And being joined at the hip and really having a mission really helps bring some clarity and some support. So Muchas gracias por todo lo que están haciendo por ellos.
Gracias. And we want to thank you, Janice, for being a huge supporter of our chapter. We really appreciate you showing up to our events and saying hi to our members as well. So thank you so much. We're going to miss you, but you always have a familia here with us.
Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
It's a hard act to follow, but we're going to turn to finance now.
We should have started with finance.
We should have.
Start with the budget.
Nothing's over now.
So I'd like to invite, is it Ann, you'll be bringing up some.
Sunny
so-
Dietz, our Director of Budget Rates, Budget and Budget System and Cost of Service. So
Good.
the two of us are going to present today.
Okay.
Present the budget at a high level, looking at how each of the senior AGMs contributes to the budget as part of the preliminary budget. And then as part of the final budget, we'll bring it back and tell you how we are doing as far as how much money is going towards reliability, green power, operational support, infrastructure, and all of the core activities of the department.
Good, thank you very much. So now we'll turn to the management report regarding the preliminary budget for fiscal year 26-27.
Okay. So our fiscal year 26-27 preliminary budget has been prepared in accordance with LADWP's goals, objectives, our approved rate structures, and our financial plans. The estimates support both water and power infrastructure investments, compliance with regulatory mandates, and exemplary customer service. The budget also supports active management and strengthening of our safety culture, maintains our financial metrics, and preserves our low-cost borrowing. And continued plans for expanded recruitment and related space needs are also supported by this preliminary budget. So looking at this slide, this is an overview of all of the senior AGMs that report to Janice. And we show you the actuals for fiscal year 24-25, the approved and re-estimated budget for 25-26, and then we have our preliminary budget for 26-27 at $11,564.5 million. This table depicts the budget estimates and actual expenditures on a senior AGM contributing organizational perspective, which identifies the costs under each senior AGM. The current fiscal year 25-26 re-estimated proposed budget at $9,390.6 million, which includes $566 million, or 6% lower than the approved budget, mainly attributed to underspending and deferments of contracts, with offsetting increases for planned fleet vehicle purchases and investments in land and structures. The program year 26-27 preliminary budget is proposed at $11,564.5 million, which is a $1,608 million increase above the fiscal year 25-26 approved budget. And as we walk through this, there's really four main drivers for this increase. Nearly half of this is contract spending that we plan to do over the approved budget for 25-26. 19% of it is related to materials and supplies that we plan to purchase, because when we have contractors, to the extent we can provide the materials, that makes the most economic sense to our customers. 18% of this is related to total labor, compensation, and benefits as we grow into our staffing plans. And then the remaining 12% is an increase in our bond redemption and interest cost. We have about $64 million of additional reimbursement, principal payments we're planning to make next year, as well as a higher assumed rate of interest given the financial markets. So as we go forward, I'm going to ask Sunny to go through the details as far as our staffing and then the contributions from water, power, and joint systems.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning. So this slide depicts the proposed annual personnel resolution, or APR, which sets the maximum number of budgeted positions for the department. The APR for 26-27 is proposed at 14,951 positions, which reflects an increase of 150 positions over the 25-26 approved APR of 14,801. And compared to the occupancy of 12,156 as of this November, the APR provides for planned future growth of roughly 2,800 positions, and the department has achieved growth in occupancy of over 1,300 positions, or 13%, over the last several completed years since 2021.
and there are continued plans for expanding recruitment and related space needs. And this slide provides further detail of the proposed APR and the associated funding levels. So the first column details the changes in APR reflected for the prelim budget, which includes an increase of 150 new positions for joint system, which will be placed in the labor planning pool that is managed by the CAO for allocation to organizations to meet operational needs. The position increase by senior AGM is also shown in that first column, and that reflects 208 positions that were transferred from the existing labor planning pool balance to joint divisions during this budget cycle. And the resulting proposed 26-27 APR of 14,951 is detailed in that second column. And the third column reflects the funded positions included in the budget. So in order to mitigate the financial impact on our revenue requirement, we apply a vacancy factor at the division level to only fund a certain percentage of each position in the APR, with the understanding that all positions will be filled by the end of the program year. And the cumulative result of that funding methodology is 12,911 equivalent funded positions, which is closer to the current occupancy level that is reflected in detail in the last column. The preliminary fiscal year 26-27 total compensation budget is proposed at $3,429.8 million, with regular labor of $1,950.8 million, overtime $592 million, and benefits of $887 million. And as Ann mentioned earlier, of the overall increase proposed for the preliminary budget, 18% or $285 million is related to this proposed total compensation, labor compensation budget. Included in the $3.4 billion total compensation budget is $71 million for hiring of exempt positions based on the power system and the CAO's estimates for their exempt labor budget. As of February 13th, the department had over 600 employees in these exempt classifications, which supplements the department's hiring capacity above the APR levels to meet operational needs. In this next slide, we'll provide an overview of the power system's total contributions by cost element, focusing on the current year 25-26 re-estimate and the program year 26-27 proposed budget. The power system's total current year re-estimated budget is $4,091.3 million, which reflects a net underspending of $374 million, or 8% compared to the current year approved budget, which is mainly attributed to contract underspending and deferments of $310 million. Other direct incentives and fees underspending of $52 million, which is mainly driven by refined estimates for the EV program. The program year 26-27 budget is proposed at $5,248.3 million, reflecting planned growth of $782.6 million, or 18% over the current year approved budget. And as you can see, the main drivers of the increase are $453 million increase in contracts, increase in labor, which was discussed earlier, and $155 million increase in materials and supplies, with offsetting decreases in fuel and purchase power forecasts. And these items will be covered in more detail in this next slide. The major drivers of the proposed $453 million increase in contracts are capital projects, including $277 million for the Renewable Portfolio Standard project to retrofit the McCullough-Victorville transmission lines to increase capacity to bring in more renewable resources. $105 million for the reconstruction of the distribution system in the Palisades, $56 million for the funding for the advanced meter infrastructure project to improve the reliability and resiliency of our distribution system. And the major drivers of the proposed $155 million increase in materials and supplies also includes $56.7 million for reconstruction efforts in the Palisades, as well as $17 million for the Harbor Load Growth and Reliability Project, and $10.3 million increase in PSRP distribution capital work, including pole, cable, and substructure replacement projects. And there was also a $22 million for information application system support for PSRP related to the distribution automation project, as well as $16.5 million for the PSRP substation circuit breaker replacement program. Here we have an overview of the Power Systems Fuel and Purchase Power budget. The proposed program year 26-27 prelim budget is $1,603 million, which includes $730 million in renewables, shown in the green bar. Natural gas, shown in the gold column, is projected at $618 million, and these estimates are as of January. So we will be revisiting this for the final budget. Other non-renewables are shown in the brown column and are projected at $186 million for the program year. And the last column is nuclear, reflected in yellow column, which is projected at $69 million. And as you can see, for 26-27, there is no coal identified, which is shown in prior years. And that's a reflection of the department's full divestment from coal-fueled energy from the Intermountain Power Project facility. This slide provides an overview of the various programs that benefit the customers. Our customers. For 26-27, the energy efficiency program proposed budget is $153 million. Electric transportation program is proposed at $142 million. And we also have the power incentive program, which is proposed at $76 million. $36 million for water conservation programs and $5 million for the emissions reduction grant program. Water systems total current year reestimated budget is $1,199 million, reflecting a net underspending or $178 million or 13% compared to the current year approved budget, which is mainly attributed to contract underspending and deferments of $210 million, offset by an increase of $25 million in materials and supplies. The program year budget is proposed at $1,561.4 million, which is an increase of $183 million or 13% over the current year approved budget. And as you can see, the main drivers of the increase are $142.7 million increase in contracts, $31 million increase in materials and supplies, with an offsetting decrease of $18 million in purchased water. And these items will be discussed in more detail in our next slide as well. The major drivers of the $142.7 million increase in contracts relate to water quality capital projects, including increase of $113 million for the groundwater replenishment project and an increase of $105 million for the Fairmont sedimentation plant project. And that's offset by a decrease of $37 million in recycled water stormwater capture projects at various parks to reflect those updated project schedules. And there were also offsetting decreases of $37.6 million in trunk line and major system connection projects. And the major drivers of the $31 million in materials and supplies includes $15.4 million increase for water quality O&M for aqueduct and distribution treatment operations, and $7.3 million for the infrastructure capital work related to trunk line and major system connection projects. In this slide, we show the trend of purchased water since fiscal year 15-16. The actuals are identified in blue. The approved budget is in red, and the current year 25-26 reestimate and 26-27 prelim budget are in green. And as you can see, the 25-26 reestimate is forecasted at $250 million, which is a slight increase above the approved budget of $246 million, and the proposed 26-27 prelim budget is forecasted at $227 million. Joint Systems total current year reestimated budget is $4,100 million, which reflects a net underspending of $12.7 million, or less than 1% compared to the current year approved budget. The program year 26-27 budget is proposed at $4,754.9 million, which is an increase of $642 million, or 16% above the approved budget, current year approved budget. And as you can see, the main drivers of the variances are $190 million increase in bond state loan redemption and interest, which includes $64.5 million increase for scheduled bond redemptions, as well as $125.9 million increase in interest for anticipated bond sales in the current year and the future year to support our capital projects. $186 million increase in contracts, and we also had $124 million increase in materials and supplies. And we'll cover the details of those increases in the next slide. The major drivers of the $186 million increase in contracts includes $91 million for improvements to facilities for planned future growth of the department, $41 million for an AI-enabled physical security contract to strengthen the security of our critical infrastructure, $18.6 million in support of emergency management operations, $15.5 million for environmental assessments related to the McCullough-Victorville line retrofit project. And the major drivers of the $124 million increase in materials and supplies include $62 million for fleet purchases, an increase of $45.5 million for technology, communication, and communication equipment for the Emergency Operations Center, an $8 million increase for cybersecurity. And lastly, there was a $20.6 million increase for fleet rental and rental equipment.
So the next slide depicts the Power Revenue Fund financial plan summary. And I'm going to focus on that last column on the right. This financial plan summary is assuming a net retail sales of 20,886 gigawatt hours of energy and has a revenue requirement of $6,039 million. Have operating and maintenance expenses for the fiscal year proposed of $2,220 million. Fuel and purchase power of $1.6 billion, depreciation, property taxes, and other costs of $1,043 million, for total operating expenses of $4,866 million. Other income and expenses are an additional $439 million expense, with a change in net position for the Power Revenue Fund of $734 million. This is a system average rate of 28.4 cents, which is 6.7% higher than the 26.6 cents. It supports a capital investment plan of $3,560 million, and it's supported by borrowing of $1,829 million. The next slide is the Water Revenue Fund financial plan summary. This is 178.4 million billing units of water and has a revenue requirement of $2,008 million. Total operating and maintenance expenses for the year are $864 million, with purchase water of $227 million, depreciation, property taxes, and other of $330 million, for a total operating expense of $1,424 million. Other income and expenses are an additional $139 million of expense, with a change in net position of $445 million for the year. This is going to have a system average rate of $11.62 per billing unit, which is 3.2% reduction from the current billing unit of $12. It supports a capital investment plan of $1,445 million and borrowing of $987 million. And what we're requesting is for your approval is to transmit this to the city CAO for their planning purposes. We will be back in May with the final budget. Budget coordinators continue to make refinements to their budget as far as which contracts they think will be moving forward, anything that changes. And so our goal, in accordance with the city charter, is to come back in May 12th for a final approval to be transmitted to the city by May 31st. And we welcome any questions.
I want to thank you, too, for not just for preparing this so thoroughly, but also for presenting it so clearly so that people who are not in the weeds on this all the time can at least understand the high-level things and also how it impacts on rates and on borrowing. So thank you very much for that. And also thank you for helping me understand it over the last few weeks as we've been putting it all together. So it's very helpful. Do any commissioners have any questions before?
Oh, but I do feel as you do. I remember when you tried to, in my early days, tell me something. I couldn't believe that those numbers were billions. I kept, that's a billion? Yes, Commissioner, it's a billion. And then you'd go on to tell me the refinements of it. And of course, it's sunk in now, and I certainly still appreciate it so much when I see it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good. And I know that Tim O'Connor had asked if he could have a few moments also to ask a question or two.
Yes, thank you, President Marks. OPA submitted comments on the item today related to the budget, and I'll read a portion of our comment letter and make some observations. First, I'd just like to observe that when we look at the budget, we see it as a tremendously important part of the board's role in controlling the rates that individual DWP customers experience. The budget, it does a lot of things. One is it sort of creates the direction of travel for the utility over the course of the next year at a broad level, and it establishes forecasts that directly translate into automatic rate escalation for some expenditure categories. And so it has a direct relationship to rates and how much people are charged. In furtherance, it identifies how the department, I'm looking backward, has been managing costs and expenditures year over year when you look at last year's budget and the reassessed budget. And one of the items that we've observed is that the presentation of this budget, when you look at the comparison to last year's budget, it doesn't necessarily tell the full story in terms of the picture of where the department's going. We really, I think, need to be looking at the updated numbers in terms of expenditure increases or decreases, as opposed to just what the budget was. The reassessed budget gives a better assessment of the potential increases in expenditures that you see on a year-over-year basis. That being said, we've identified some items that are related to the process of this budget presentation in total in the budget review, as well as some content items that we'd like to carry forward. First, on process. We began coordinating budget documentation requests in around December of 2025 for this particular budget. And we appreciate the staff's efforts, and in particular the CFO's team's efforts in providing some preliminary materials. However, we only received preliminary materials with budget numbers last week as it relates to what you're seeing today. And given the limited time frame and the high-level nature of this data, we haven't really been able to dig into the numbers, but we do look forward to obviously collaborating and providing a more substantive review. We suggest that as you look at, the slide 18, that the department provide a next step, which is a formal presentation and schedule of future conferrals with OPA as related to these next steps, because thus far, while we've had nice conversations, we haven't seen that formalized process result in the ability for us to really evaluate these numbers that can evaluate the reasonableness of the inputs that will translate directly into rates as part of our city chartered obligations. Given that the department's preliminary budget, is built on data supplied by teams across the department, we see that this is something we need to kind of or we would recommend the board think about the process going forward so that it has the ability to substantiate line items that are built up into the broader budget numbers. And going forward, we provide a recommendation that the board engage directly with the department as well as OPA to develop a formalized process for the next budget cycle with specified dates and milestones so that we can ensure the board and OPA has the information needed to substantively evaluate this budget and the inputs and assumptions as associated with what's being presented in the preliminary budget and not just the final. And so we think that that is a process that should probably be specified with dates and key milestones so that all parties know what the expectations are. That being said, on the content of what's being presented today, we've identified in the budget information that there is roughly 22 items in capital and O&M expenditures where there is potentially a significant increase in the expenditure item with a greater than 25% from last year's forecasted expenditures. and where items are greater than a $50 million increase on a year-over-year. We've provided an information request to the department associated with each of these 22 items, and we've identified at least 8 different things that we are requesting the department work with us to provide information so we can evaluate the reasonableness of the specific items. In particular, for these items, we're requesting information around the investment need and purpose, the expected outcomes and benefits, the internal decision-making process associated with coming up with those estimates, the program timeline and costs, and the factors that have related to and resulted in year-over-year changes resulting in such significant increases in the budget. We're also asking for the department to provide us information on implementation readiness so that we can see how those forecasted budget numbers will actually translate into real expenditures that will be seeing a closer alignment of the actuals and the budget numbers going forward. Without that level of information in this budget process as well as in the future budget processes, it becomes very hard for OPA to provide the board with a rigorous evaluation of the budget numbers and the reasonableness upon which those budget numbers translate into rates that individual people pay. We'll provide the board with a copy of that information request that we submitted to the department earlier this week.
Okay. Thank you very much for those observations. One of the things before I have staff respond if you want to, because I think it's appropriate, I want to make the distinction that you've mentioned between process and the content, which I appreciate. And obviously the process is a complicated one. I think it's very important. It's important to us as a board as well. The information at the level which is appropriate to determine reasonableness is available. I think when you look, your point about on the content side about distinguishing between preliminary budgets, final budgets, and then actual expenditures, and then how that translates into rates and rate adjustments, which of course, if the budget is higher than actual expenditures, that'll result in a downward adjustment in a future period for rates. When I look at it at a high level, I think it would be useful for us to know, and we can discuss it separately about which areas are of most material importance in this, and I would distinguish here between water and power. So, for example, mindful in the water side that the preliminary budgets, the final budgets, and the actual expenditures tend to match up pretty well over the last several years. And we actually are seeing a rate reduction, which I know CFO Santilli highlighted on the water side. On the power side, some of it is where there's deviations from what I can tell that are significant, especially on capital expenditures. A lot of that is also shifting in time. Some projects have been delayed. So they were originally budgeted, they were not completed, and now they're being pushed into a future year or years. And then some of it is, very lumpy, big capital expenditures, lumpy in the sense that they're not levelized over a period of years, although financing will have the effect on rates of levelizing it and smoothing it out over future years. But the actual expenditures that are budgeted, for example, on the McCullough station upgrades and things, very expensive pieces of equipment that you replace every 20 to 50 years. So I think knowing from you specifically as between OpEx and CapEx, as between water and power, as between variations that you've seen and mindful of the past history and where things don't vary very much, where the numbers have actually been pretty accurate, would be useful. So we can follow up on that. Those are my initial. I don't know if any before staff response, if any other commissioners have a thought. Okay.
And just in quick response to that, we are not interested in just information for information's sake, and we think that the department has strong justifications, and we've been working with the team to identify things exactly what you're talking about, and major investments in transmission corridors, key investments in electric vehicles, and large capital improvements in the water system, and for the ability to weigh in substantively on this budget, especially where there are items where there's significant increases. We just are looking for additional detail and working with the department going forward to make sure that that detail is accompanying the budget request process.
Yeah, I think it's very, very useful and helpful, and we appreciate collaborating with you and as you fulfill your statutory duties in doing that as we provide the oversight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one item to note is when we do bring the final budget to the board, what we're asking your approval of is the annual personnel resolution and these estimates for our initial pass-through factors. Those will continue to be updated. A lot of times the formal vetting of projects happens when it comes to the board, because even though there may be, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts, just because it's in the budget doesn't mean that that's approved.
Right.
It comes back to the board for approval, and some of the 22 items that the Office of Public Accountability wants to look in more, those are board letters that have already been approved by the board, but it's a 5-year spending plan, and so how that comes into the program year is different than maybe the current year, like Donald C. Tillman project, or, you know, the Castaic spoil pile. You know, depending on where you are in that 5-year project, you're going to see different levels. So we have the list, we're collecting those board letters, but as far as all of that additional detail, the budget doesn't drive the strategic plan. The strategic plan drives the budget, and so we don't prevent somebody, unless there's a real problem, from putting money in the budget for a strategic initiative, so we have eyes on it, and then that number gets refined year over year.
Yeah, that's right. I know there's some items that are in the budget, because I've asked a question as well, and you've answered it. Thank you. Previously, there are items in the budget which do tie to also contracts which have not yet been approved and may not be, and therefore, if they're not, and that work's not done, then those items won't, you know, come to fruition.
I'll just add, this is the preliminary budget request. There is time till the final budget. So I think the argument of time is something that we need to discuss, because the final budget doesn't go until May. So there's a couple months for you guys to get involved. But we've started this budget process last year. It is very intense process, because I meet with every single head of the department and question can we do it? Can we hire the people? Can we contract on time? And it's been a challenge for the organization to give us those answers. I would say organically, this department has several constraints that allow the budget to fluctuate. One is getting the RFPs approved and executed, which all come to the board, and it can get pulled or not pulled, or it could be something else that drives the timeline. The other one is hiring people in the APR. And one of the things that the team knows I did this year is I didn't let them add more APR other than the 150 positions I gave to CAO, because the vacancies are so high. And the reality is we turn net new positions at a pace of 10%. So last year we hired 3,000 people and we netted about 300. That's the average year after year. So you do have a constraint with how many humans can we have to execute the capital plan. We have a constraint on timing on RFPs. And you'll see in this budget that we have more contracting happening because we cannot hire people fast enough, but we have to get the work done. And so a lot of the numbers that are driving the budget up this year is contracts out to get foundational capabilities in the organization. And a lot of the departments that have higher budgets are new departments, including risk, emergency management, strategy, that were never part of the budget in the past and now have organization that they need to feed to. So we get to that maturity level where we're now initiating some of the large strategic plans and initiatives that need to be funded by this budget. So.
Thank you. And I know you've shared this before, but just to make it
Commissioner?
explicit with
Thank you. Turn your microphone.
It's been weird today. Okay, is it live? Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for that. I know this has been shared on various contracts before, but just to make it more explicit, I know that with many of these areas that are really critical that have been added to LADWP, that, as you mentioned, we're contracting at first, but can you speak to, I know with many of these contracts, they are built in such a way that we then train in-house capacity, and the goal is to bring much of this work in-house long-term. Can you speak to that kind of development of labor capacity?
Yeah, I mean, every contract that we have has a notice of compliance attached to, and we discuss with our labor partners on what that looks like on the long term. And so whenever it's a new capability, that should reside in the department. Not every capability should be residing in the department, especially one-offs that we do one and then Absolutely. Never do again. Mm-hmm. We are incorporating the ability to train our internal workforce and ensure that they're able to execute the work. However, If I cannot hire more than 10% net new, that limits the amount of people that I can train. And on top of that, I also have a challenge with banding, right? Like you need so many supervisors to onboard so many new people. And so that all translates to an APR situation where we only are netting 10%. And we've been in conversations with city personnel. We have a initiative to execute that and make sure that we can at least double that this year. But at the level of hiring that this department needs to be in order to execute LA 100 and Pure Water LA, that number has to significantly change in the next couple of years, or else we will have to contract more work because it's just too much work coming in for our crews.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just also like to say that I think we just need to remember that this is an $11.5 billion budget, and that's enormous. And I think I agree with Commissioner Marks that we have to look at what's material. And in order to manage this on an annual basis, with it being a public utility as part of the city of Los Angeles is not an easy task to do. And in terms of how to manage the budget itself, there are also other externalities that we would need to take care of and be cautious of and manage against. And I think that this is also a long-term strategic plan that we're trying to pursue, not just on something annual, but we have to do a plan annually. So I appreciate everything you're saying and also OPA's oversight, but we look forward to the process to look at this, and it's a difficult thing, but it's a very big thing. So I just want to make sure that we all understand that as we move towards the approve of this budget with the city as well. Thank you.
I'll point out, I know the slide is still up. I think, is it still up? Yes. The request for approval for the preliminary FY budget to go to council, we just approved when we voted on items 8 and 9. So it'll be on its way. But yeah, as you come to the final, I think these points are all very well taken, every one of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for a good presentation.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you, President Marks. May I just respond to one item that the GM stated was that there's time, right, and that from moving from the preliminary to the final, there is a period of time in that process. However, given the the size and extent of the budget, that it does do more than just improve positions. It sort of sets the trajectory of the utility and has a direct relationship to, for example, cost adjustment factors that we would argue the process needs to start for socializing with OPA, or should start prior to the preliminary budget being presented, and that in so doing, it will enable the kind of oversight that was envisioned in the city charter, and that we would look forward to the partnership with the board and with the team here at the DWP to help to achieve that vision.
Yeah, duly noted, and I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good. Anything else on that? Fine. Let's go on then to the management reports. There are two. To the filed items rather. We have two. By the way, I've skipped over the committee presentations. I should ask. Is any commissioner? No. Good. Okay. So we look at the filed items. The first is the notice of compliance status report. That's on the labor side as of the end of January. The other is the financial services monthly activity reports. I'll point out a couple of things that jumped off the page at me on that one, by the way, that may be something people have been wondering about. For starters, yes, good that the cash position has improved, both for water and power. Happy to see that. I noticed also, in light of what's going on in the world, and everybody worries about gasoline prices going up at the pump. Natural gas prices globally, frankly, are probably a bigger concern, and the U.S. market is somewhat exposed to international gas prices now, thanks to our becoming a large LNG exporter as a nation. So I was happy to see in your report that's to be filed the description of our gas hedges, since we do purchase gas as fuel for some of our plants. And I see that that's hedged, and that more than half of our hedges are for periods commencing more than a year from now. So again, good strategy. That's why we have them in place. So thank you for that. Do any other commissioners have any comments or questions about any of the items to be filed?
No, thank you.
None.
Okay, thank you. And then can I ask the Commission Secretary, please, to order agenda items K1 and K2 as so filed?
So filed.
Does any commissioner have any item for future approval?
Not at this time.
And Madam Secretary, are there any formal positions filed by neighborhood councils?
None for this agenda.
Great. In that case, we'll move on then to the two items, N5 and N12, that are slated for approval, starting with item N5. And I invite staff to respond unless any commissioner has a question.
I do actually. I have to recuse myself from this item as it's related to a contractual agreement that possibly will be with my tribe. So I just wanted to make that clear for the record.
Okay.
So I'm going to step out as you guys discussion on this item.
Good. Thank you, Commissioner Ortega, and we'll get you before we go on to the following one.
Sounds good.
Good. Thank you so much. Okay. Other than the recusal, is there a need to discuss?
No questions from me. Happy to proceed.
Fine. In that case, if there's no other discussion, I'll take a motion to approve item N5.
Motion to approve item N5.
Second.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
President Marks?
Aye.
Vice President KATZ?
Aye.
Commissioner Pinder?
Aye.
Commissioner TRAN?
Aye.
4 ayes, motion adopted.
Thank you. Could someone please invite Commissioner Ortega to return? Good. Welcome back. I'll note for the record, Commissioner Ortega has returned. We have 5 commissioners present to discuss item N12. This is a contract for a term of 1 year with 4 one-year optional renewal periods for maintenance of overhead distribution facilities in certain parts of our service territory. So I invite you, Dave Hansen, please, from the power side, to tell us more about it.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to invite Mr. Brian Wilbur, Assistant General Manager of Transmission and Distribution, to cover the Q&A as well as the presentation for this.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. I also have Mr. Brian Williams. He is the Section Manager over Distribution, Construction, and Maintenance. So his group oversees both the contract operations group that's over this contract as well as the distribution crews that this contract supplements. So specifically this contract, so just a real quick overview. This is one of 3 overhead contracts that we have that supplement our field crews. So we've had contractors on board since 2001. We've ramped up significantly around 2014, specifically to address our concentration on PSRP goals moving forward. One of the biggest issues that we have, and with the reason for these contracts, is really supplementing the crews that we have. So since 2009, we've been losing journeyman linemen in our line series group, continuously in an effort to ramp up. We're looking to get over 400 linemen here to ramp up to address all of our PSRP goals. But we've actually started losing linemen at a significant rate.
Due to?
So mostly due to contractors' availability. So, in our effort to beef this group up, we have a very significant training program, which really made our people a target for all other utilities and contractors. So they're able to make a lot more money. There's a huge increase in wages for that particular group. And so a lot of them would go through our program, graduate, and leave to other utilities.
I think we call that fattening frogs for snakes.
Exactly.
If I can jump in here. So since 2017, we had lost 105 journey level electrical distribution mechanics that would complete our program and leave for greener pastures. With the approval of the MOU for IBEW, it did come with some electrical distribution mechanic wage increases, and those increases have halted the bleed of personnel. So we're no longer losing as many linemen as we were before, and we're actually starting to see small amounts of them return to the water and power.
We haven't lost any linemen. We lost maybe one because they had to move for family reasons.
Yeah, since the new contract.
Yeah,
that's good to hear.
Yeah.
In other words, that's been stabilized, but we're still shorthanded.
But we're still shorthanded, right? We're still shorthanded more than 200 linemen in that particular class. And really, when you look at what this is supplementing, these contract crews, we run about 30 to 40 line crews specific to the work that's being done on these contracts.
I mean, that's a pretty big gap. I mean, how do we stench that kind of loss?
And it's completely dependent on the amount of crews that we have. There's some very strict OSHA requirements for the training that we have. So a trainee, right, it's really a 1-to-1 ratio for a line crew to have one hot trainee that's on that crew. And those, we're very much restricted on that. So we can only have as many trainees in our system based on the amount of crews that we have. As we build up more trainees, we get more crews, we get more journeymen who don't leave, then we have more crews and we can increase. But it's a slow increase as we go.
So a simple rule of thumb, every 2 journeymen essentially is a crew. So if we're short 200 linemen, that's 100 trainee spots that we could afford to put additional trainees for the program.
It's the same discussion I had on span and control for supervisors. So you're limited on how many people can oversee the newcomers into the organization. And they do a really good job on onboarding lineman classes. How many lineman classes do you have every year?
We hire twice a year, and now we're at 26 or 28 per class.
It's 24
24 per class.
As we have this little increase now, as we get through the promotions this year, we should be able to ramp that up to 26 at the next class.
This is our most difficult program to increase staffing for the reasons that they were just talking about. We went through an effort a few years ago on the substation electrical mechanics side to where we boosted that program from 15 to 20 hired a year to 60. So now we have almost 200 plus or over 200 trainees in that program. That classification is easier to do these big bumps with because the crews are larger. So if you have a 10-person crew, 12-person crew, you can roll with 3 trainees, 4 trainees if you had to per crew. But when you're working 80 feet up in the air, there's only enough room on the pole for so many trainees.
Yeah, and I stand corrected. So we have 28 in our next class. So we are slowly moving up. We went from 20, now we're at 28 on that. But if you look at the amount of crews that we have, if we have 30 to 40 crews essentially in-house right now, we run between 40 and 60 crews on our contract crews. So between our 3 contracts, we have more than half of our personnel on the line series, just for line crews only, is with our contract.
And I'll say it takes 4 years to get a journeyman lineman ready in the field to operate a crew. So whatever efforts we make, you got to count that 4-year time frame to get them out of the training program. I also would say my recommendation, since I will be here next month, is I see this happen in the industry where you cut budgets and you cut hiring linemen. This classification should never be on the cut list, because then you create bubbles like what they're trying to catch up on, and it's very, very hard to catch up on. And so what happens is that our crews have to make decisions on what type of work they're going to work on every day, because we have a lot of work from like emergency response for outages, PSRP, all of the new business and capital delivery projects, and you're limited on your crews. So that's why these contractors are so critical for us, because we even use them during emergency response. We can only run the crews for so many hours when we have long duration outages, and our contracting crews help us with that as well.
Yeah, actually, if I may, before you proceed, I think that's a really important point, because, here's just kind of my crude overview, right? We have, at best, linear growth in linemen, and you can't do much more about that because you have the OSHA restrictions on how many people you can pair up. So you bring in as many trainees as you can, but you've only got so many people that can supervise and train them and work with them in the field. At the same time, we ramped up inspections, and especially when you look at overhead, we've got a more than linear growth, maybe let's say an exponential growth at some point, at least in the near term, on work to be done in that area, and diverting resources to that as much as we can. The expense of that is, well, we talked at the beginning of the meeting about new business and how do you hook up people and how do you, deal with that, and then we have outages because of storms and and maintenance issues and what have you. So it's a very difficult thing, and it's all connected. So when you look at this and you look at the use of outside contractors, obviously to maintain the quality within those contracts, we do embed some folks with them. Is there a challenge, or how do you optimize that? Because obviously when you're taking people off of our other crews to supervise contractors, you're also stretching us a little bit. Yeah, you're levering it with outsourcing. I get that it helps. You can actually at least now deploy more people totally, but there's also a trade-off there.
You know, I think you see us both smiling as you're asking that question, because that's that summarizes our job, essentially. It's the delicate balance of what's priority, what's urgent, what's political, what do we have to do, what do we want to do, and it's all about safety. We want to make sure that we have the safety oversight and we prioritize these jobs. We would like for them to come in, first out, but you know, things get, the important point is that these electrical distribution mechanics do everything. They're doing new business, they're working trouble, and they're promoting into the management ranks. And all of that is a constant strain on the admin staff to keep that staffed as well. And when we're inside, you know, they're working 16 hours on top of a pole in a rainstorm. So it's a big challenge. And the point that Janice made is something that we have seen over the years. People misunderstand time and time again, so thank you for saying it. I was thinking it. It takes so long to produce these folks that coming in and doing an exercise like butts and seats that we did in 2010 or whenever that was, and where we take all vacant budgeted positions and let's just change them to substitutes and trim the budget. That hurts us for a decade trying to get back to where we were. So you definitely have to have the long strategic game when it comes to filling these programs, because some of them are 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, and we've seen COVID as an example. When COVID hit, we backed off hiring because city personnel shut down for 1.5 years, and we watched that hole in graduation slowly move through the program, and it hit in 2024, and we had no journeyman coming out of some of the programs. So,
good, thank you.
And specific to your point, really, when we do have to allocate resources to our contract ops group, and everything is done in-house, right? We design the jobs for the contractors, right? We do the asset management for them, and then closing those jobs out. So we have the quality end of it too. So every job that's done by the contractor is inspected by our in-house personnel. So that office essentially, you know, accentuates everything that is done by that contractor there. So we do have a big quality control element, but that takes personnel also, which depletes from our regular field crews, right? So the more contractors we have, the more people we need to pull in. So it is a slow ramp up, but we've been making great progress, right, over the last few years, especially since our contract changed. Getting personnel in place, adding more crews, right, slowly, you know, decreasing the amount of contracts that we need. But in 2023, we did make a big adjustment on how we attack our fix-it tickets, right, in our maintenance program. We have ramped up our inspection and maintenance program, and now we're really addressing the priorities of that maintenance program. It's not about just replacing poles and looking at rotten poles. You know, it's more about what's causing our outages and what our higher priorities are. So now that we've increased that inspection program, you know, having our contractors, you know, directly go to those specific jobs that are at the higher priority. That's our goal moving forward. That's how we're going to attack this, right? That's why we have 3 contracts now.
And let me just add one last point, because I think it's important for you guys to be aware of. We just signed the contract to do an integrated human resource plan, which is really critical to understand what is our co-workers' workforce trajectory. And that, I mean, you increase linemen or contractors, you need contract oversight, but you also need some clerical support, you need engineering support, you need fleet support, you need facility support. And we have never seen that comprehensive plan here. We have something like that for power, but not for the whole enterprise. And it didn't include the support functions. So that work is kicking off out of the HR organization, and that will give you an understanding of what it really takes to do this. And it will include internal and external resources, but also it will educate and inform city personnel of the changes we need to do to be able to onboard this many people for the next 5 years.
And what's the time period that that integrated resource plan covers?
It should be this.
5 years? Or
it should be for the LA 100 plan, so it's 10 years.
Okay, I understand. Good.
And then the last piece I would add in is, given the Palisades emergency that we had this year, having the contractors on board, right, it made a huge difference, right? To pull all of our in-house resources would have shut down every job that we had, including all of our H100, our metro projects, all of our other projects. Having the ability to be able to put our contractors right out at the Palisades to help supplement all the work that needed to be done is really what kind of saved us from getting the rest of our work done this past year.
Right. So, with the completion of the subway extension, will that reduce the demands from Metro?
Well, there's metro project after metro project after metro project, so it's always going to be an issue.
That's always an issue.
Yeah, and the biggest constraint on our metro projects is not these contracts; it's our construction contract, right? It's our underground conduit and vault system.
Which is also the same folks that will get pulled into the LA Convention Center. Yeah. So that's the challenge of adjusting for that schedule, but that's why we've stood up an additional office in the power system project management organization. So now we have a PMO office, we have an asset management office, and they're not going to be instantly materialized, as frustrating as that is for all of us. But PMO is already tracking LACC for this issue because it pulls at the same resources.
It pulls through the same conduit.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate your cable pulling jokes about like that. Right. That was pretty good.
No, but in all seriousness, you're right. That's a big
Any other questions?
Any other questions from any commissioner before we would vote on this item?
No, not at this time. Thank you for ensuring we have the resources needed.
I have one last question, if I may, and it relates to the term of the contract. This is going out for 1 year initially, but there are optional renewals for 4 more, which is a total of 5, which is a little on the longish end for something like this.
Right.
What are the, if we approve this, we're also approving potentially the exercise of those options. What do you do to decide whether or not to extend one of these contracts? Because I wouldn't want it to be a rubber stamp where we're actually just entering into a 5-year contract. So to look at the KPIs, the measure of performance for those contractors, maybe whether another contractor might have be better suited to do this affordably, say 3 years from now, and is that something you can report back to us on maybe 6 months or so from now as to how this is going?
Yeah, and we do an annual review on this, but we have essentially one of the measures that we do is their safety record for those particular contractors. We recently let a contractor go specifically because they had a fatality on the job. So we monitor their safety record. Every accident they have, especially on our property, right, we take into consideration in their next renewal period. So it's not only just the amount of work that they're getting done, it's the performance that they're doing, but it's their safety record as well. And a lot of it also is, one of the issues we have with the contractors too is, when there's a storm somewhere else and everybody gets up and leaves and follows and chases the storm. And so they lose a lot of people, but so the ability for that contractor to have enough resources to ramp up when we need them as well is a big piece here. If they're underperforming, right, that's going to go into their renewal, whether or not we're going to renew for that particular.
I would ask so that we can comply, obviously, with Brown Act requirements that you report back for all of the commissioners for all of our benefit, well in advance of exercising the first renewal option. What the plan is and what the performance has been at that point so that we can have some oversight over that.
So I would just add a couple of things. One, I'm okay with the 1 year and renewal after because this is a culture change for the power organization. So bringing more contracting resources is not something they're comfortable with. So they'll be ramping up to ensure that they have the right oversight and they're measuring the right metrics. Naturally, I wouldn't recommend a year and an extension for many reasons. One, it's a lot cheaper when the contractors have certainty that they will have work.
Yeah, I would have expected something different, actually. So, yes.
And so contractors will like to know they have 5 years worth of work and that you establish a relationship and they're able to come and settle their crews here. Two, the RFP process takes a long time here, so you will see the amendment coming in a couple of months. They will start working already on the amendment for the next year just because of the length of our RFP process. And I think from a safety and security perspective, when you establish relationship with contractors that have great safety record, great performance, great quality, you attract their best crews to the area. Mm-hmm. And so those 3 things will be what I would recommend the team does after this year of learning and growth. that their contracts are longer so that they can get savings, better quality, and better relationships with the contractors.
Yeah, there's also some costs associated with, even though these contractors are coming in highly trained in general, they still have to learn our system. And so there's costs to the department for training a contractor that's new, and needing to do that on a year-by-year basis, you know, can be challenging. So while we want that oversight and we know that there's, you know, the ability to exit for non-performance, I would agree with Janice that we want to make sure they have a term that provides the kind of most cost-efficient approach.
Yeah, in our last contract, we ended up coming back to the board for a 2-year extension, right, and an increase in money specifically to keep those contractors on board moving forward. So, you know, having the 1 + 1 + 1 all the way to 5 years is certainly beneficial to us. And you're absolutely right. The onboarding process for a new contractor is quite extensive. It does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of effort to do that, especially when you have so many new contractors that are available. So they're constantly underbidding each other, right, to get on the property here. And so we have a lot of vetting out to do. Specifically when you have a new group coming in.
Which, to Commissioner Katz's point as well, it's so important that we keep no lack, we don't want that break in service, but demand, they'll leave and go work for someone else rather than be no shift, no pay for 2 weeks with a contractor while we wait to get our contract in place.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, good. There being no other questions or comments, thank you very much for presenting and for explaining that to us. It's complicated and an important area.
President Marks, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Do you want staff to remain before?
If possible, yes, thank you.
If you would.
As I understand, so this contractor is, that for approval, is presently working with the department, so there would be no retraining and things of that nature. So notwithstanding that past dialogue, those cost escalations do not exist in this circumstance, I believe. Is that?
Yeah, the adding on the additional crews from this contractor, right? He currently has our maintenance contract, right? This will be the north of Mulholland contract. So it's really just about the laydown locations, right? His reporting locations, and then just adding the additional crews. So we still have to inspect all the equipment that comes in, all the tools and everything that they use to make sure they're compliant. But a lot less because we're familiar with this particular contractor. Yes.
Great. One of the items that we've observed at OPA is that where those report backs to the board do not have specificity with respect to what the board is requesting, they may not always have sufficient detail as to afford the board with the ability to understand the full scope of what is happening, or give it the information to be able to make an informed decision in the next process. We provided comments associated with this item that provided some recommendations about the type of information that might be suitable for those report backs, and also identified a conduit of reporting that currently exists that was associated with an approval of a contract, I believe, for this contractor back in 2023. And so the department should be obviously a well-oiled machine as it relates to the reporting of the type of and scope that OPA would recommend, and as well as the department and has a channel for doing so. However, we think that the reporting that currently is in place is insufficient for providing the visibility which the board here has requested, and we to this point are still uncertain what the additional reporting would be that you'd be calling for. And so we would volunteer to work with the department to implement the recommendations that our team has put forward, to come to the board with a revised report that would align with what we think the department and the board needs in order to make those informed decisions on the year 2 contract.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's a point well made. I would say and I was not very specific, frankly, when I said what to report back. I kind of know that. And it would be useful to you for us to be more specific. It'd be useful to incorporate, some of the suggestions that OPA has made. I also think it'd be useful, the agenda item today are these particular contracts. but in coming forward, when there are additional contracts, especially in this area for overhead maintenance, to have standardization, consistency, so that what we're asking for is something you're already prepared with for any future ones. So, yeah, we'll work together with staff and with OPA on that.
Thank you.
Good. No, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I'm just weighing this report of yours. Kind of meaty here. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're not the.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion then to approve item N12?
I so moved motion.
Thank you.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, can you please call the roll for the approval of item N12?
President Marks?
Aye.
Vice President KATZ?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortega?
Aye.
Commissioner Pinder?
Aye.
Commissioner Tran?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion adopted.
Good. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Now, before we go into closed session, I'd like to ask the City Attorney if you could please state for the record the specific statutory authority and the general purpose for our doing so.
Certainly. The board shall now recess into closed session for a conference with legal counsel regarding 3 existing cases. The first is Dynamic Denim Corporation versus City of Los Angeles and Department of Water and Power, and that is Los Angeles Superior Court case number 24 STCV 10789. The second existing case is Peter Marsh versus City of Los Angeles and Department of Water and Power, Los Angeles Superior Court case number 23 BBCV 00373. And the third is conference with legal counsel regarding case called Richard Lee Massa versus Ronnie Carbajal et al. And that case number pending in Los Angeles Superior Court is number S24 STCV 13505. The board shall also confer with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, regarding 6 potential new cases, and confer with real property negotiators related to the matters that are set forth in the agenda 05.
Good. Thank you very much. And with that, we will now move into closed session.
AV, are you ready to roll?
I got you. I said I got you.
AV, are you ready?
Go to there? Okay, cool.
Give us 1 second, 1 second. You have to turn on the recording.
Okay, this is, we're returning from closed session. Can the City Attorney read us out, please?
Yes. The board recessed into closed session, and we have the following reports. With regard to the case of Dynamic Denim Corporation versus City of Los Angeles and Department of Water and Power, the board unanimously approved a settlement of $325,000. With regard to item number 2, Peter Marsh versus City of Los Angeles and Department of Water and Power, the board unanimously approved a settlement of $375,000. With regard to item number 3, Massa versus Carbajal and the City of Los Angeles. The board unanimously approved a settlement of $1.25 million. With regard to item number 4, the board unanimously approved a limited waiver of the attorney-client privilege to waive certain written investigative reports and the exhibits to those reports. And there is no report out with regard to item number 5.
Okay, thank you very much. Then there being no further business with the consent unanimously of the board, I order us adjourned.
Thank you.